What's up YouTube, and welcome to another Infinite Painter tutorial where today we're going to create this blue moon design. Today's requirements is a canvas size of 2000 by 2000. You can download the palette image here, which is available in the description down below, and I'll show you in the actual tutorial on how you can bring that into Infinite Painter. And the only other thing you're going to need is an additional brush for the leaves here of the tree. Now I've provided a link to that. It will be available over on my Gumroad. It will be completely free for you to download. Just type in 0 in the payment field if you don't want to donate. That's totally up to you, but it's completely free if you just enter 0 and hit download. Download it to your device. And then I've got a helpful video in the description as well on how you can bring that into Infinite Painter. It only takes a couple of seconds to do. It's really, really simple, so don't be put off by that. And it's another way for you to get other brushes into Infinite Painter. As always, if you want to support me and the work that I do here on the channel, you can now become a member of the channel where you get a loyalty badge beside your name, early access to tutorials and sneak peeks, and again, support the work that I do here. So if you want to join the channel, there'll be a link in the description down below. Enjoy today's tutorial and let's get started. So once you've created your canvas, we're going to go ahead and go up to the three dots. We're going to go to the option of import and we're going to grab the palette image wherever you saved it on your device. Once you've tapped on the image, it's going to ask you, do you want to import it as a layer or a reference? And if we set it as reference, you will then get these 5 colors here that are going to be today's palette. So zooming out, we're going to go ahead and do one other thing. We're going to go to our create options. We're going to go to the option of perspective and grid. And my grid's already set to a 4x4, but essentially what yours will look like is something like this. Now, by default, you may need to toggle these ones on and off. So that's it with it off. We'll turn it on. We'll turn on the magnet. And then you grab this node here and drag it all the way down, following that diagonal line right into the corner like so. And then we can go ahead and get cracking with our design. Now, we're going to go ahead and create the background color first. So we're going to go to our colors. We're going to grab this color here. We're going to tap on it. We're going to use the pipette option and we're going to tap here to select the dark tone. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the tools that we need to create our moon. Color pick by tapping with my pen here to select the color. If you do not have that with your equipment, just go to your 3 dots and go to settings and go to gestures and long press as eyedropper. And that way you'll be able to hold down and a little ring around your finger will pop up. Now we're going to grab the middle color here, this blue tone. We're going to go to our brush. We're going to go to the option of fills and we're going to use the solid fill brush. We're then going to go to our create options and go to circle. And if we tap as best we can in the center, it will magnetize to the center anyway. So if we go ahead and we drag out from there, you will get a dot appear right in the middle and you can scale the circle up and down as you need to, but it will have snapped its way onto the grid. And that's perfect because we want to scale it to fit the center point of our design, which is roughly going to be about here. And then when you're done, tap on your circle tool, get rid of your grid because we no longer need that as well. And you've got your moon in the center, perfectly centered against our grid. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some texture to this. So we can do it on the same layer if you wish. We can actually tap on it and we can alpha lock it. So we can't paint outside of it. We're going to go to our brush. We're going to scroll down to the miscellaneous section and we're going to use the dry sponge brush. I love this brush. So with the dry sponge, we're just going to bring some of the settings down. We'll bring the opacity and we'll bring the flow down to about sort of 75 to 80 mark. It's not really critical. But let's set the size a little bit larger. What have we got there? 127 looks pretty good. We're going to need to go ahead and then grab the second color here in the palette at the top, this one here. And once you selected that, again, the brush size is 127. We're going to go ahead and we're going to just chuck in some color. Now you can replicate the real world moon if you wish based on your sort of experience of seeing it or a photograph potentially. But I'm just going to sort of guesstimate. It's not really critical. The actual tree is going to cover up a lot of this anyway. So in certain areas, I'll tap a few times just to kind of chuck in some additional darker tones in here, random patchiness to it. And we're just going to make sure we've added a little bit of color pretty much all the way around like so. Then we'll just grab the next color, the first color in the palette, this one here, this light gray. We'll chuck some of this on top. Again, don't be afraid to just chuck it in, go round sort of the top left edge. I'm going to go around the bottom edge as well, bring that round a little bit. Chuck in some color on there, a couple in the sort of the gaps mainly. We'll chuck in some color in the gaps on top of some of the dark tones though, and just seeing what we can kind of fill out and flush out. From there, we'll go ahead and grab the darkest tone of the blues, the fourth color in the palette, and we'll chuck in some more color. Circular motion, just bring that round like so. A couple more dark tones towards the top. Don't be afraid to also just patch in a few dark random spots here and there. That's perfectly fine. And don't be afraid to overlap your other colors as well. So a couple of little sort of patches here where you can, create some craters, etc. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to tap on this layer and clip it to the moon. We're going to go back to our first color here in the palette, the light gray. We're going to go back to our layer. We'll tap on it. We'll change it to the option of a linear dodge. And now this is going to really boost the color. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very sparing. We're going to go around the top left edge here, really kind of adding a nice glow to it, kind of blending it out. Going to go around the bottom area here too, and then a couple of speckles here and there of like a light tone in the gaps. Really kind of nice and random. Patch it in where you think you want to apply it. Again, nothing too serious, nice and easy. And I think that gives us a nice, good variety of color. Now we can tap on this layer, we can merge it down. So now we've got our planet, or moon, shall I say. And then we're going to tap on it and duplicate it. Tap on it and duplicate it again. So we've got 3 in total. The bottom one out of the 2, you're going to want to go up to your Create tools. We're going to go to Edit, Filters. We're going to go to Structure and Blur. And we're going to blur this out all the way up to 100%. Now, by default, it's not going to do anything because if we tap on this layer, it's still alpha locked. So turn off the alpha lock and you'll get this glow. Now, I think we can go up to around about sort of the 80% mark to 90. Let's just go about 87. That's perfectly fine. And hit the tick when you're done. Then go to the one above, tap on that, turn off its alpha lock, tap on it, change its blend mode from normal to linear dodge. And again, we'll go up to our Create tools, we'll go to Edit, Filters, Structure and Blur. And we'll just give this a little bit of a blur just around our planet. So we just want to sort of go to around about sort of the 50 to 40% mark here, and then hit the tick when you're done. Now the next stage is to add in your tree. So we'll create a new layer in front of our moons. We will go ahead and grab the dark tone here, the 5th color in that palette, so it matches the background color. We're going to go to our brush. We're going to go into the option of calligraphy, and I'm going to use the soft taper brush. The size is going to be set to 28. Well, that's actually the smaller size. We probably want to go a little bit larger than that. Yeah, let's go up to the, what size was that? That's the 40 mark. And also you can see the settings here, they're maxed out on opacity and flow. Now what's really important with this stage is you don't let your sort of tree just end here, because you'll be able to see the point here. Likewise, if you come down, you don't want to end it here. You want to make sure that your tree runs above and beyond the sort of glows of your actual moon glow here. So I'm going to start off at the top here, and I'm just going to bring in like a bit of a tree trunk like so. This is going to be my tree trunk. I don't want it to be sort of just straight upright. I want it to have a little bit of character to it, a little bit of a curve maybe. I'm going to fill that in, making sure I go all the way down towards the bottom, and likewise go off at the top as well. Again, so we've just got that sort of endless aesthetic to the silhouette here. And then we're going to introduce some branches. So here you can press out here like so, and then just go over your lines a few times and kind of thicken them out. You want bumps and lumps in them. You want them to be nice and natural and just have that nice, fun, very sort of bumpy, lumpy, uneven surface to it. From there, we can then go ahead and let's introduce a branch that runs across here. It goes all the way off to the edge. Now you can, of course, let the branches get a little bit thinner towards the end, and they do need to do that. But you can also go ahead and, as they get right off to the edge, you can let them sort of end, say like here, for example. Now, what I recommend you do is also add in your main branches to start with. So for example, I'm going to bring in a branch that's going to come across here, and then it's going to make its way up. You want to introduce your main sort of avenues, your main sort of highways for all your branches to run off of. So I'm going to introduce these branches like so, and then maybe even another one that kind of comes up like this, connects into the body. And then from there, it's just a matter now of just creating as many branches as you can. You're just letting them overlap each other, get thinner towards the end. Again, they don't have to go all the way to the very end. We can bring the brush size down to about sort of the 28 mark there. And you can create as many branches as you like. Maybe one that just sort of tails off down here. Wiggle your pen, create some nice textures in there, and then just wiggle one off of there as well. Nice and thin, maybe a thin branch that runs off from there. That looks quite nice. Let's then go ahead and create as many as we can. Now, round the outside edge here, we're going to ultimately end up with some branches that are nice and sort of thin right on the very end, and they're going to house a lot of the greenery of our branches. So we're going to keep making lots and lots of small avenues. Don't be afraid to add some in here as well, though. You know, maybe there's a branch, a new shoot of sort here, and let that just kind of run up a little bit like so. Overlapping branches for trees, to me, is one of the most important things you can do. There's so many angles, so many contorting shapes, etc. from the branches that you want to make sure they overlap each other. You know, they don't stay out of each other's way, they overlap. There's also the layering of our perspective looking at this tree. You know, how are we seeing the tree? What angle are we seeing? There'll be branches that are facing us, there'll be branches that are pointing away from us. You know, all these kind of in between style to the branches that we need to accommodate for. And again, I'm just creating lots of really smooth, beautiful towards the end, allowing lots of space for my foliage to sit on in a moment. Go along here. The only thing, of course, you always want to abide by is that your branches should obviously get a little bit thinner the closer they are to the tree body. So they should be thicker towards the tree body. I don't know what I even said there. We're going to go ahead and wiggle our pen up here. I'm going to create another one up here too. I've just got done creating our previous tutorial, which is about an hour and a half long, so my mind's a little bit of a mess, but you'll excuse me on that one. So once you've created a tree, something like this, let's make sure that these are a little bit thicker and making sure that our trunk actually has some good structure to it so that it does look like it could support these branches. Once you've got this sort of aesthetic to it, we're going to create another new layer. Now this is where you're going to need to go to your brush, and you're going to need to go ahead and import in the brush that I've provided for you, and it should go into the downloads folder like so, and you'll find the Aurora edited by Joel Designs brush. Now there is a helpful video I've put in the description down below. I will have mentioned it in the intro anyway, but you can go ahead and work out how to import the brush here from the video that I've provided. Once you've done that though, we can set the brush size to, I've got it set to 79, and that looks a little bit big. That was the largest size I went to last time. So let's go to 50, and all I want you to do is just run this, wiggle it down some of the branches, like so. More density towards the outside edge, just wiggle it down some of the tree branches here, adding in some quick and easy leaves. I love this brush. It's a variation of one that is available over on Procreate, so I need it in my life here as well. So we've got lots of random scattering of leaves, and that's all it needs to be, just a nice wiggle up and down some of the branches. Some areas you can make a little bit more dense than others, by all means. Like if there's a cluster of branches that you feel would look correct, you go for it. You know, wiggle this down. Ultimately, we just want to make sure that you run some right over off to the right hand side outside of that glow range. It's really important, outside of that glow range, and then come in and add some in the gaps. Maybe even bring the brush size down to like let's go down to a 30 now, and tap a few times to add in some really small speckles in here. So you've got some nice variation to some of the size and the weight of some of the leaves as well. We'll chuck some more in here along some of this branch area here that's hanging down a little bit. That's looking quite cool. Let's go ahead and make sure the brush goes back up to around about 50, and we just add in some more right up on the edges. Make sure you leave some gaps in here though, because trees are not fully dense all the way around, so you can leave some gaps. You know, here I'm going to chuck in some more at the top in this gap area here I can see, but this area is a little bit lighter in these kind of corners here that you can see. And taking a look at that, we've now got our tree. Look how cool that looks, and you've got all of your branches and all the twisting and contorting of them, and you've got your leaves as well. Now you may need to go ahead and tap on the leaves and duplicate them to get this much darker aesthetic, and then tap on the top one and merge it down, because there's a slight bit of sort of opacity to the leaves themselves. You can then go ahead and tap on the leaves and merge it down to the tree as well, and then we're going to tap on the tree, duplicate it, so you've got two now. The bottom one out the two, tap on it and alpha lock it. Then go to the third color in your palette here. Go to the option of your brush. Go to something like the sprayers and just go to the hard airbrush, for example. I've maxed the size out to 1000, and likewise the opacity. Flow should be up there as well. And I just want you to just cover the entirety of the tree. Now don't worry about seeing kind of your edges and stuff for the minute. We just want to cover that in blue. We're then going to tap on the layer, turn off the alpha lock. We're going to go to our edit options. We're going to go to the option of filters, structure and blur. And we're going to add in a little bit of a blur here. So just take a look, see, like, as you can see, that little bit of a blur sticking around the edge. This is going to end up being a bit of a glow. So I'm going to bring that to about sort of 33% here and hit the tick when I'm done. If we tap on the layer and change its blend mode from normal to the option of linear dodge, it'll get nice and bright now around the tree edge. You see that? And then if we go ahead and we tap on this layer here, it's the bottom glow in behind our moon. Tap on it, select its shape. So we go to the option of select. We then go to the blue layer underneath the tree, tap on it, we add a mask to it, and now it's got rid of it. So what it's done there is it's got rid of any glow around the outside that doesn't fit within that sort of space here. We've just added a mask to temporarily sort of hide all of that. And now from here, it's totally up to you if you want to do this. You can go ahead and create a new layer, bring it all the way to the very bottom. You can go ahead and use, say, the blue that I'm currently using. We can go ahead and we can go into glow and we can use, say, the neon pen, and you can just tap a few times around the outside if you want to create some little stars, some blue stars in the sky. Now you can vary this up. You don't have to necessarily use the blue that I'm using. You can go ahead and use the first color in the palette. I really like the blue though because it matches the same aesthetic. Don't add too many. Bear in mind that your tree would also block quite a few. So you're kind of looking in this bottom area more so than anywhere to add in a few more stars. And try not to stray as well too far away from the tree. You know, you kind of want to sort of keep it a little bit close to that center point. Sometimes I really enjoy a design that doesn't sort of spread the color too far. It's just minimal. It's just spaced right in the center of your design. Tap a few times with different varying pressures, or even go over it a few times just to create some varying star sizes. But leave gaps, make sure it's not too much of a pattern. And if you go ahead and you pinch with 2 fingers and you go full screen with 4, you end up with today's finished design. So I hope you enjoyed this very simple blue moon design. As always, share your designs with me over on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you decide to tag me. I'll pretty much be everywhere. And you can now support the channel and all the work that I do here by becoming a member of the channel. You can get a loyalty badge beside your name that grows over time, early access to tutorials, sneak peeks, and much, much more. So hit the link in the description down below and come and show your support. And if you like this video here on YouTube, you'll love this one on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.